The Frankly Speaking Roof Cam, brought to you by Boss Security in Horseheads. Contact them today for all your business and home security needs. Welcome back to Frankly Speaking here on WYDC-TV Big Fox. I'm your host, Frank Acomb. We're broadcasting from the Hesselson studio. And in that studio, Chair of the Steuben County Legislature, Kelly Fitzpatrick. Congratulations.
Thank you so much. It was very nice to be reelected and continue with the work that we've been doing.
A little easier this time.
Much easier.
Yeah. Everybody, you had anonymous support.
Yes, there was
Unanimous.
no controversy.
Yeah.
There was a unanimous vote. There was not a challenger for the position, and it feels really good.
Yeah, and it's kind of nice because having 2 years in a job like that, you're still kind of getting your sea legs.
That is absolutely
Right?
correct.
Mm-hmm.
And now we have a better team in place.
Mm-hmm.
So we have some new legislators that I think are going to be great to work with. We hired the new county attorney, and he has now taken his first full term starting January 1st. We also have a new clerk of the legislature. So some fresh perspectives, fresh ideas, and I feel really good about the coming 2 years.
And what does the kind of the new class, if you will, of legislatures? We had so many. I mean, that was tough races on all of them. We had everybody, I think, that ran on the program. How are they taking? I know it's only been a couple weeks. How are they taking to it?
I think they're going to take to it well. Mm-hmm. My mission is to make sure that once I know who is going to be in those new seats, I reach out to them ahead of time. Yeah. I encourage them to look at minutes from meetings, agendas from meetings. I ask them, look over the committees. Tell me which committees you feel passionate or interested in. And I try to accommodate most of those assignments because it is my job to assign committee members. The other thing we do is a 2 or 3 day orientation. They get the opportunity to learn about things that are going on in the county ahead of time from the county attorney, different department heads, and they'll also get the opportunity to do some tours of facilities. We did a tour in the fall of the new public works buildings where we invested our ARPA funds,
Sure.
And I invited the new legislators that had won their positions already so that they could see this is where we invested the money and this is what they do in these shops. It was great.
When I was talking to somebody about this the other day, the county does do so much and offer so much that even if you run for the job, you may not be aware of everything that the county does.
That is absolutely true. Mm-hmm. I would tell you, even after all the time that I have been on the county, I have to stop and think, where do we do this service? Who does it? And then a lot of times I just simply reach out to Jack or Chris and ask them, if I have a question about this particular issue, who would you direct me to ask?
Right. And you mentioned that you kind of select the members of the committee. Is that a difficult job? Is that something you look forward to?
It was very difficult. I had 3 drafts of my committee assignments because you don't want to put 3 new legislators on the same committee.
Sure.
You want a mix of the people that have had experience on the legislature plus those new fresh ideas. So it was a very challenging job this year, but I feel really good about it.
Now, looking back at your time as chair so far, what have you kind of learned from day one till today, and what are things that you're most proudest of, you still have to improve on, those type of things?
I think the biggest thing that I have accomplished is that we have been a far more collaborative and friendly group, not just with each other, but with department heads and other elected officials.
Okay.
I don't really want there to be any of these battles. They're not necessary. We can get along, we can treat each other with respect. Everybody has little quirks about how they like to operate.
Sure.
The main thing is remembering that I am the one that is steering the ship. I am the one who is in control of the meetings, and I get to pick the narrative and I get to pick the direction.
Right.
And sometimes, especially when it felt in the first 6 months of the job, I felt like the core team didn't really support the change in leadership. It was more difficult, but now they are very supportive. They've gotten used to the way I like to do things, and now I need to step up and be that confident leader that Steuben County needs.
Well, and that must be their opinion. Being unanimous, they must say that you've done a great 2 years and you're looking for another 2. I mean, again, I don't want to belabor that point, but that's pretty impressive that no one fought you.
Yes.
You know?
To go from a 9-8 split by the skin of your teeth
I
win
should have mentioned that it was
to
that close, yes.
unanimous.
Yeah.
We had to actually count the votes the first time, to the weighted vote, to see who got the majority, and it was sweating bullets. But the best part was that I had put myself in a mental spot where I said, it really doesn't matter if I don't win the position because I can still accomplish everything it is I want to accomplish. And that is true. That is how I want those legislators to look at me. I don't have any more power than they do.
Right.
I just direct the ship.
Right.
I have control of the steering wheel, and I want them to feel comfortable to come to me whether I agree with their position or not.
Right. And as we said, it's still always a learning curve when you only have 2 years of any job. Is there something you're looking forward in the next year or two to improve on?
I want us to focus our energies a little bit different. When we have agendas and we have our committee meetings, we're very focused on the day-to-day operation, and we don't get to be very legislative and look to the future and look at the big picture. We did do a legislative retreat, which was awesome because it gave us the opportunity to hash out disagreements and arguments, but then what can we do as a group to move the county forward?
Right.
So I am hoping to do one of those before our main meeting in January, and I would like us to establish priorities. What is it that we as the legislature want to see the county accomplish, and how do we give the department heads the tools to do that? We tell them which areas are of most importance to us, and you develop your department goals around those.
What, just the other day we had the State of the State by Governor Hochul. So I'm going to ask you as chair of the Steuben County Legislature, what is the state of the county?
The state of the county is actually, it's in a very good position. I know that the audit from the comptroller might have painted a slightly different picture, but we are financially strong. We believe in taking care of the taxpayer. We encourage the shop local doctrine so that your sales tax dollars stay local. We believe in minor or small increases to the tax levy each year. This gives us the opportunity to put money in reserves, which hedges those big expenses that are coming. Think about when we had to remodel the public works buildings, and there are other buildings that will need roofs or other major improvements. We're not going to have to jack up our tax levy in order to pay for those things because we have reserves in place to do that.
And a couple, when we talk about the state of the county, there's a couple things that come up, and you mentioned the comptroller's audit. I know, reading a few articles on it, there was some pushback from some legislators. They weren't necessarily happy with what the comptroller found. Tell us a little bit about that.
Oh, we're definitely unhappy with it. They indicate that we mismanaged our fund balance, but that's because we have money.
Yeah.
I find it ironic that they chastise us for doing what the state can't do, which is save money and create a balanced budget and stay within the balanced budget. We have done that consistently for years. We have stayed under the tax cap, and our tax rate per thousand is a number that you can present that, and our tax rate per thousand typically goes down. But depending on assessed value and other complications, everybody's taxes typically go up a little bit.
Now, recently at a town board meeting in Irwin, we heard from some residents in Irwin. I know this is, and I'm not trying to get specific to Irwin because it's all of Steuben County, and it's about the homelessness issue. And there's a lot of people that are outraged that in their community that maybe never had problems before, the hotel that wasn't making it, and then they accept that money from the county to house these homeless people and people that are struggling. I know they're not the only people talking about it. What have you heard, and what can the county do?
There is a very big issue in Steuben County with homelessness. And you're right, it doesn't just affect the town of Irwin, it affects almost every community, except for the outliers where there is really no transportation whatsoever. The Department of Social Services has indicated to us that the numbers for housing homeless people, they're up by 50%. So it makes sense because their expenses are going up for just about every cost of living item that we have. So what we have done is we have established a warming center, which is outside of the village of Bath. And a warming center is basically rooms, showers available, laundry facilities, and instead of putting someone up in a hotel, they can go to the warming station. We put out a request for proposal for that, and so the company that runs that provides transportation, they provide security, they provide limited snacks or meals to individuals that go there. And so this is our first step in trying to resolve the problem where you have homeless individuals that are going various places in the county, and then you have the issue that they're only able to be there one night and they need to get back to the county in the morning in order to either find more permanent housing or get another voucher to go back to where they were.
Right, and I think that's a struggle, and I know that in some of these instances, and why people in that case are upset, but we've had them talk about it on the program too, that sometimes with it, depending on where the hotel is and what happens, there is kind of the issue of people roaming around or maybe some crimes happening, unfortunately. Is there there's no real repercussions for these towns? There's no way that they can go to you and close the hotel or something like that, though.
I know that in the Village of Bath, they have what's called a nuisance law.
Okay.
And if they have too many calls to any particular facility, they are threatening to pull certificates of occupancy.
Oh, interesting.
I'm not sure if that's legal.
Right. But it's a thought, right?
It's not for me to comment on its legality. It would be for their legal team to determine that. But it does put a burden on the local communities. And I know the Village of Bath has routinely commented on the burden that's put on their local police force. They're spending so much time chasing down individuals that are either at the hotels or other facilities, and they're causing problems for those of us who like to live by the rules.
Right. And it's also unfortunate, but how much it affects businesses around these hotels in certain instances. We talked about that at the meeting, but restaurants, bars, and things like that struggle when you have people coming in and maybe causing trouble. So
I think we put a lot of money into homelessness and trying to assist people. And I would believe with all of my heart that the majority of residents of Steuben County don't want people living under a bridge, don't want people going hungry or living out in the cold. Aside from the fact that it is a state mandate during Code Blue, if at any point in time during the day the temperature is 32 or below, we are required by state law to house individuals.
Right, and you think about this year, I think every day's been 32 or below.
I would agree. It felt pretty good out there today, but I know this morning there was frost on the ground, so it was below 32 degrees.
And you raised such a good point on that. I don't want to keep talking about it necessarily because I think we've covered it, but it's not as if people are heartless when they say these things. They're worried about the people. We don't want people living under a bridge, but we have to do what's best for the whole community and find out what that answer is. And I don't know if anybody has that answer.
I don't think we do. One of the things as a priority for the county and the legislature, I want to identify all of our partner agencies and the services that they provide. Right. And we are going to need to tighten our belt. We are going to need to make sure that we are not duplicating any service, and we are going to need to make sure that all those services are a full plate of service and no one individual gets left out.
Right. Now, when you look forward to the new year, here we are at the very beginning, what do you see on the legislature? What do you think will be maybe your major focus or the legislature's major focus is during the new year?
Sure. I think major focuses, obviously, we've talked about the homelessness issue. Transportation is a huge issue. It's part of our comprehensive plan, and we did that comprehensive plan a couple of years ago, and we really need to look at it and work on implementing pieces of it. The problem is that you have to come up with the funds, and being such a large rural county, it's very difficult, but it's going to be an issue that we have to address. People need transportation, not just for homelessness issues, but we need rides to work. We need other opportunities so people can get the things that they need to do. So that is definitely on my priority list. I think that we need to work on promoting business in the area and economic development. On the heels of Gunlock closing, we are going to really have to play a lot of small ball, and we need to help our small employers. We do have a business roundtable. That was a topic and a program that was developed last year. We have another roundtable discussion that will be going on in Hornell. What we're trying to do is get business owners' perspective on what it takes to start a business in the state of New York and in Steuben County, and what things can we do and put together for them that help them. So that will be a link on our website once we have all the resources that are put together. We have the Steuben County Revitalization Fund that started during COVID, and those are loans that are developed and administered through REDEC. And that's a place where a small business owner who needs some capital can go and get a loan to help them buy equipment or do other things that they need for their business. So we have those issues. I saw this program on a news report, and it was talking about increasing green space. There have got to be lands throughout Steuben County that we own where we can plant new trees and fresh trees and help the environment.
Yeah.
I think we need to be a voice to the governor to tell her what programs we like and what programs we don't. We do memorializations, and I realize that they are simply a piece of paper.
Right.
But if we don't tell her what we think, she doesn't know.
Right.
We have done multiple resolutions against the CLCPA and the electric mandate because although I understand that she's trying to save the environment, it doesn't do us any good if we don't have the grid in order to provide the electric
100%.
service. And a real serious look at sludge spreading and what it's doing to our environment. We have to have our voice. We have to make our voice be heard.
Well, it's a good thing you have Valino there now.
Yes.
He's Mr. Sludge.
He will be very helpful in that
Yes.
matter. And I see that the Farm Bureau has just taken a stand where they don't want to allow the sludge spreading unless it's been tested for those forever chemicals and it's forever chemical free.
And you mentioned the energy policy, and it's kind of funny because you said it right after business, because we think about the energy policy affecting us if we want to build a home and things like that. But think of a business who's comprehending, maybe we'll go to Steuben County, and then they look at the laws that are being pushed in Albany, and the cost is so much more than just going a few miles down the road to Pennsylvania.
Yes. I think we're still hearing about NYSEG bills and rates being so expensive. I do books for a couple of fire districts. Their electric bill for the last month was $2,000.
Wow.
So something has to be done. Those things get pushed right back down to the taxpayer.
They do.
So you talk about affordability, and it doesn't matter if you can get a house that's at an affordable rate, you can't afford the services that you need at the house to live.
And it did seem a little bit like in the state of the state that some of the problems that Governor Hochul is going to fix were some of the problems she and Albany caused.
Yes.
I don't know if you noticed that, but especially when it came to energy policy, I thought, wait a minute, I thought this was your plan in the first place. But you're right. I think it's so heartbreaking about gun lock.
It is very sad. I mean, they've been there for over a century, according to what I've read in the news, and to have that facility need to close. And you look at what they're doing, realistically, they're just moving their operations elsewhere. So it's not necessarily that people aren't buying that high-end furniture.
Of course not.
It's that they just can't afford to produce it in the state of New York.
And that's, I think, what did I read? About 130, 140 jobs? I mean,
Yes. So
where
we'll
do those
pull
jobs
together county resources. We have workforce development. The IDA will work with trying to redevelop the location. So there are some services that are in the background that will assist.
But I agree with you. I do think now is a great time to focus on businesses, small, large, because I think it's a struggle right now. And I think businesses to get them in New York State, and I think Steuben County should be at the forefront to get them here.
Yes, it's critical. If you have the opportunity to shop at a local store versus buying it on Amazon, you really need to buy it locally. And the reason you do that is because those local businesses are the ones that support Little League. They pay their taxes. They support the school districts. They support everything that we do here at the local level. And I mean, we do have the Amazon facility in Bath, which is wonderful. We appreciate them. Of course. But you still need to buy the goods and services locally if you can.
If you can, because if you're holding a fundraiser and you need donations, you don't call Amazon.
No, you do not.
You stop here on Marcus Street and you ask for some donations. So you're exactly right. Kathleen, thanks for giving us so much time this morning. Again, I want to congratulate you. I can't wait to see what the next 2 years hold.
Are you excited? I am very excited. It feels like a fresh start.
It does.
I know we're going to face some challenges with the federal government and the state government and their budget, but we are ready and prepared to face those challenges, and we'll do whatever it takes.
Great. Well, let's do this again soon. We'll get a catch up, I don't know, a couple months.
That sounds like a plan.
All right, great. We'll be right back with Frankly Speaking. Stay with us.